It's late at night. The house is quiet. The kind of quiet that feels almost too still, too empty. You're sitting in the living room, scrolling through your phone, when suddenly your dog freezes. Ears forward. Body tense. And then, barking. Sharp. Repetitive. Focused. But there's nothing there. No footsteps outside. No visible movement. No sound you can hear. Just your dog, staring into the darkness, barking at what seems like absolutely nothing. You pause. A strange feeling creeps in. What are they seeing that you're not? Most dog owners brush this off. Maybe the dog is being dramatic. Maybe it's just random excitement. Or worse, maybe it's one of those eerie ideas people joke about, that dogs can see things beyond our understanding. It becomes a story we tell ourselves to make sense of the moment. They're just barking at nothing. But behavioral science tells a very different story. Because when a dog barks into empty space, it's rarely empty at all. To understand this behavior, we have to step into the world your dog actually lives in. A world shaped by senses far more powerful than our own. Dogs don't experience reality the way humans do. Their perception is built on layers we often ignore: microscopic sounds, faint vibrations, distant scents carried through the air. While your world is dominated by sight, theirs is dominated by detection. A dog can hear frequencies up to 65,000 Hz, more than double what humans can perceive. That means distant footsteps, electrical hums, even the subtle movement of small animals inside walls can become loud, clear signals in their brain. So when your dog suddenly locks onto a spot and starts barking, they're not reacting to nothing. They're responding to something you simply cannot detect. But it goes deeper than hearing. Dogs are also emotional sensors. Through thousands of years of evolution alongside humans, they've developed an extraordinary ability to read subtle changes in environment and energy. A shift in tension. A change in air pressure. The faintest unfamiliar scent. In behavioral psychology, this is often linked to hypervigilance, and instinct deeply rooted in survival. Your dog's brain is constantly scanning for patterns. And when something doesn't fit, it reacts. Barking, in this case, is not random noise. It's communication. A signal. A warning. And sometimes, a question. Did you notice that too? From an attachment psychology perspective, barking at nothing often reflects your dog's relationship with you. Dogs see their owners not just as companions, but as secure bases. Much like a child looking to a parent for reassurance, a dog will vocalize uncertainty when something feels unfamiliar. They bark not just to alert, but to check in. To say, "I'm sensing something. Are we safe?" This is why many dogs will bark, then immediately look back at you. They're not just reacting to the environment. They're seeking your response. Your calm, or your concern, becomes their answer. Neuroscience helps us understand what's happening inside their brain during these moments. When a dog detects an unusual stimulus, the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing fear and threat, activates instantly. This triggers a cascade of responses. Heart rate increases. Muscles tighten. Cortisol, the stress hormone, begins to rise. At the same time, the dog prepares for action. Fight. Alert. Defend. Barking becomes the first line of response. Not because they want to create noise, but because they want to create distance between themselves and the unknown. Interestingly, if you respond calmly, speaking softly, moving normally, you can actually influence your dog's nervous system. Through a process called co-regulation, your calm behavior signals safety, helping reduce their cortisol levels and bring their system back to balance. But if you react with fear or tension, you confirm their suspicion. And the barking intensifies. There's also a powerful evolutionary story behind this behavior. Long before dogs slept on our couches or curled up at our feet, their ancestors survived by detecting danger before it appeared. A rustle in the grass. A distant movement in the dark. A scent carried on the wind. Those who reacted early survived. Those who ignored subtle signals didn't. Over time, this instinct became deeply embedded in canine behavior. Even today, your dog carries that ancient blueprint. A built-in early warning system. So when they bark at what seems like nothing, they may actually be doing exactly what they were designed to do. Protect. Alert. Respond. And there's something else. Something more emotional. Dogs are deeply bonded to their humans, not just physically, but chemically. When you interact with your dog, through eye contact, touch, or even presence, both of your brains release oxytocin, the same hormone responsible for bonding between parents and children. This creates a powerful emotional loop. Your dog doesn't just live with you. They feel connected to you, responsible for you. So when something feels off in their environment, even if you're unaware, they act. Not just for themselves, but for you. And this leads to a deeper insight. Sometimes, when your dog barks at nothing, they're not reacting to the outside world. They're reacting to a shift inside the environment you share. A subtle sound, a faint scent, or even a change in your own emotional state. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to human stress. Research from institutions like the University of Helsinki and the Max Planck Institute has shown that dogs can detect changes in human emotional chemistry, even through scent. Your anxiety, your tension, your unease, all of it leaves a trace. So when your dog suddenly becomes alert and begins barking, it might not be about something out there. It might be about something within the space you both occupy. A signal that something feels different. And your dog is trying to interpret it. This is why context matters. A dog that occasionally barks at unseen stimuli in a quiet environment is likely responding to sensory input beyond human perception. But a dog that begins barking more frequently, more intensely, or with visible distress, that's a different story. Because sudden changes in behavior often point to underlying shifts. It could be environmental, new sounds, new surroundings, unfamiliar activity. Or it could be internal, heightened anxiety, lack of stimulation, or even health-related discomfort. In some cases, excessive barking at nothing can be linked to cognitive changes, especially in older dogs. Their perception becomes less stable. Their interpretation of stimuli becomes less accurate. And the world feels more unpredictable. Which leads to more alerting, more barking. So the key is not to dismiss the behavior, but to observe it. Notice the timing, the intensity, the frequency. Is your dog relaxed before and after? Or do they remain tense, scanning, unable to settle? These small details reveal everything. Because your dog is always communicating, even when you don't understand the language. And perhaps the most important thing to remember is this: your dog is not trying to confuse you. They're trying to make sense of their world. And in doing so, they're trying to keep both of you safe. So the next time your dog stands still in a quiet room, staring into a corner, and begins to bark, pause. Don't rush to silence them. Don't dismiss it as nothing. Instead, see it for what it truly is. A message. A reflection of a mind that is constantly working, constantly sensing, constantly protecting. Because in your dog's world, nothing is rarely nothing. It's simply something you haven't noticed yet. And maybe that's the most fascinating part of all. That while we move through life trusting only what we can see, our dogs are listening to a deeper layer of reality. One we've long forgotten how to hear. If you've ever experienced this with your own dog, take a moment and think about it. What were they reacting to? What were they trying to tell you? Share your story in the comments below. And if you want to understand more hidden behaviors your dog shows every day, make sure to subscribe and watch the next video. Because the more you understand your dog, the closer your bond becomes. And sometimes, the quietest moments reveal the loudest truths. And there's one more layer, often overlooked. Silence itself can be loud for a dog. In moments when everything around them becomes still, their senses don't relax, they sharpen. What feels peaceful to you can feel uncertain to them. In the wild, sudden quietness often meant something had changed. Birds stop singing. Wind patterns shift. Small animals disappear. To a dog's instinctive mind, silence can signal that something is wrong. So when your dog begins barking into that silence, they may not be reacting to a specific sound at all, but to the absence of normal ones. It's their way of breaking that uncertainty. Of testing the environment. Is anything out there? And then there's memory. Dogs don't just live in the present moment, they carry emotional imprints from past experiences. A sound that once startled them. A shadow that once moved. A night where something unfamiliar happened. Even if you've forgotten, their brain hasn't. Neural pathways built from past experiences can reactivate without warning. The brain predicts before it confirms. So your dog may bark not at what is there, but at what their mind expects could be there. This is known as anticipatory response, a survival mechanism deeply wired into animal behavior. And in those moments, your dog isn't being irrational. They're being prepared. So the next time it happens, notice the stillness. Notice your dog's posture. The direction of their gaze. The pause between each bark. Because in that quiet exchange, your dog is revealing something extraordinary. A mind that remembers. A body that protects. And a bond that trusts you enough to sound the alarm even when you don't yet understand why.